10 rounds of racing through Northern California and Colorado, High Point in Pennsylvania, Redbud in the center of the country for July 4th, Southwick all the way up outside of Boston, Massachusetts. We started crisscrossing west again, Millville, Minnesota, Washougal, Washington, and then the stretch run after a weekend break. We resumed at Unadilla in New York, Budds Creek in Maryland, and
quick lap around Fox Raceway.
The keys are going fast at Fox Raceway. Well, I couldn't tell you. I haven't had very good finishes there yet, so.
The track is kind of narrow and jumpy, so do the rhythm that everyone else is do, and kind of making sure you charge every single straightaways, little straightaways. I think that's gonna add up to the end, so that's probably the key.
That's a really fast track. It's one of the tracks that it looks like the dirt looks good, but it also has a really hard base, sand, a little bit of sand on top, and a hard base on the bottom.
Fox Raceway is always kind of a tough one for me, so it's a West Coast, very hard pack, slick, a bit different kind of outdoor. For me, the momentum there, like try to carry as much speed as possible. The line choice from outside to inside, like you can lose almost a second just by taking, an outside whenever that inside's still kind of off.
It's a Cali track, so it gets kind of like that desert vibe, right? And it's just kind of being able to flat track pretty good and steer with your rear. I feel like that's a big thing on that track.
this is the big one, and historic ending to the 50th anniversary of Lucas Oil Pro Motocross. Welcome to Fox Raceway at Pala and Pro Motocross Fast Lap qualifying here on MAV TV. Well, we will have 250 qualifying coming up first. Jet Lawrence should be able to wrap up his second straight title today, but Jason Wigan and the fastest man on the planet, James Stewart, we know what everybody wants to talk about. Eli Tomac, Chase Sexton, 1 point in it in the 450 title. What a day we have in store.
Oh, we're in store for some great racing. I mean, get the Jet, those guys, they've been riding good, but like you said, it's all about those two guys, and it's fireworks already. I had a chance to talk to Eli last night. They didn't sleep at all, but they're ready to get here. It's like 200 degrees out here,
yeah,
and they're ready to go. So I'm excited to get into it, and we're in tune for some great racing today.
Both Sexton and Tomac all weekend. They've been doing some Team USA donation stuff. They came in our pre-show last night. They seem very relaxed on the outside, but you've been there, done it. You said the nerves are going to be high today.
I'm nervous for him.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm nervous for him. I was nervous for Eli yesterday, and I've kind of been in this position. But for them, I think the good thing is they got to beat each other. Like, there's no holding back, whatever. Like, they got to straight up race each other. So it's going to be about whoever calms the nerves. But I believe one of them's going to hate each other at the end of the day. Like, they'll respect. Maybe somebody going to get knocked down. We'll find out. But I know it's going to be some good racing. I'm excited for sure.
They've kept it cordial until now. Now gloves are off. Let's talk 250 class, though, real quick. Jet didn't quite wrap up the title last week. We'll show you the point standings here. 41 over Shimoda. He only needs to finish 12th in a single moto today to wrap it up. So Jet's looking good. And by the way, James, he's never lost a race on this track.
Yeah, Jet looked pretty calm today in practice. He's pretty good, like just feeling good on all around. He was talking to his brother. I saw him right before he went out. They were just relaxed, and I think the battle's going to be between Hunter. Hunter wants to get one of these victories, and Joe wants to get second. So I think they're going to battle. Jet's obviously never lost here, so even though the championship's somewhat out of reach for those guys, I believe it's still going to be a good fight because they're all friends. But you want to beat your friend. Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have some new talent jumping into the class. Hayden Deegan is back again today. Made his pro debut last week. And another rider jumping in and making his pro debut this week. So at Ironman 7 days ago, the Moto Scouting Combine dominated 1-1 scores with Team Honda's Chase Hymas. And Hymas is turning pro today. So we'll see how he does. Let's send it down to Jason Thomas with the rookie.
Chance Hymas making her pro debut this weekend, coming off of a scouting combine win last weekend. You had your first qualifying session out there. Can you tell us a little bit about the track and how you're feeling, and maybe a little bit of expectations this weekend too?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any expectations. I'm just here kind of see where I stack up against these guys. But first qualifying session was good. I ended up PA, and just kind of rode a little tight the whole time, but I kind of need to go out and, you know, clean up some stuff. But I'm excited to go out for this one and, you know, just kind of learn the track and get better at it.
Cool. Well, no expectations, but I do think he's got some really great teammates there that can give him some insight and hopefully gets off to the right foot this weekend.
The 50th anniversary season of Pro Motocross is brought to you by Lucas Oil. Keep that engine alive. General Tire. For whatever you do, General Tire delivers. And by Honda, celebrating 50 years of off-road dominance.
We are back. There's a look high atop Fox Raceway here, just about an hour outside of San Diego, California. Yes, we did race here earlier in the season. They've changed a few corners from round one. It's the MX versus ATV Legends track map. Go for it, James Stewart.
Well, you can tell the track's it's kind of a long way. It almost looks like if they was racing in a NASCAR stadium. It's pretty east to west or north to south. But it's going to be important today. It's going to be a lot about the start to get out those S corners. We know the start's kind of deep out there, and you can go down. So Paula's it's been a fast track. The soil looks pretty good, so hopefully this heat doesn't dry it out too much. There's some big jumps in here, but as you see, there's a lot of fast straightaways. So I think you can get a good start. You can kind of break away, and especially those two guys that's fighting for the title. A couple switchbacks, some elevation change going back there. These guys going to be in the air a little bit, breathing for some air, and hit the finish line, go through the start, and there's your track map.
Honda has a shot at 2 titles today. We've been profiling all the great champions of the past in this series all year long. And from 1985 to 1989, Honda won the 125 national title, today's 250 class, 5 years in a row with 4 different riders. And Mickey Diamond and George Holland were right smack in the middle of that big red title run. When Team Honda's star 125 rider Ron Lechien ran into trouble with the Japanese authorities in the off-season of 1985, his time with Honda came to an abrupt close. Needing a 125 rider to fill the defending champion's role, they turned to Husqvarna rider Mickey Diamond, and what followed was an historic 2-year run for Honda and the Yorba Linda, California rider. Diamond went from journeyman competitor to 2-time champion in the blink of an eye. He'd win 8 overalls and 15 motos over 2 years, giving Honda the 1986 and 1987 125 class titles. But Honda did not re-sign the 2-time champ for 1988, so Diamond jumped to Yamaha and moved to the 250 class for the 88 season. Injuries throughout his Yamaha career set him back, and he would never reach the lofty heights of that 2-year run on Hondas. Back at the 125s, Honda replaced him with George Holland, who had finished 3rd behind Diamond in '86 and runner-up in 1987. Back then, Holland was riding Suzuki's and won 5 races during those 2 seasons. When Honda came calling, Holland was ready, and he would deliver the 1988 125 national title, capturing 4 overall wins to beat his old teammate and Minnesota rider Donnie Schmidt. Holland would lead the points in 1989 during his title defense until a shoulder injury slowed him. And then the quiet man from Northern California chose an early retirement, heading to work on his family farm. Mickey Diamond and George Holland, forever linked to Honda's dominant teams of the 1980s. I love the contrast in personalities of those two. Mickey Diamond used to hang out with Motley Crue back in the heydays of the 80s. He had the long hair. He was rock and roll when rock and roll was king. And then Holland, hardly anybody remembers or knows George Holland. He's one of the quietest champions ever, but certainly effective when you look at the numbers there with 13 overall wins in his career. And James, when we were here at round 1 and Honda dominated the day, that was kind of what everybody was thinking, like, are we back on a big Honda run? And they've got a shot at both titles this year, so maybe.
Yeah, it sure looks like it. I mean, the future, you're looking at the future right now for Honda. And a good thing for him, they got another one with Chance Hyman's coming up, and he's getting his pro debut today. So it's looking good, not only for Honda, but for the sport in general. You got a lot of young bucks coming up, and millennials, as we kind of like to say. Yeah. And unfortunately for us, like this last time we're going to see Jet in this class. Fortunately for these guys, this is the last time you're going to see Jet in this class. So it's going to open it up, and it should be, again, for some good racing. So I expected him to come out, and he's cleaning off that #1 plate right there, let everybody know he's the man. There's future Honda right there.
Yep. Should be in 250s in Supercross next year, but outdoors he'll be at a 450 next year. So there it is. He is tied for 10th all-time in both overall a Moto win. So he could move into the top 10 or single digits with another win today. And we asked him last week, or if he had wrapped the title last week, would he have raced a 450 today? And he said yes.
Yeah.
So that would have been pretty exciting.
Not only did he say that, he gave us a plan of what he was planning on doing. He said he was going to let Chase by and possibly play roadblocks. So,
I know.
Yeah, these kids these days, I tell you, man, it's like little toddlers. They just tell you the truth. You ask for it, they tell you the truth. But, you know, I think Jett, at the end of the day, if he was in that situation, he's a racer. He wouldn't get into it. But it's definitely nice to think about it. But he's in this class. He's still got some business left to do. And, you know, hopefully he'll get it done today.
He was confusing us, so he kept saying, sure, I'd help Changers out. And it took us about 10 minutes. Who is Changers?
I thought he was talking about the casino. Pachanga. Like,
Yeah,
I was like, well, what's going on? So Chase Sexton is Changers, and, yeah, there's a lot of different names on there. But mine's is just Stu, so I guess that was pretty good. But kids definitely relax, and it also helps to have a brother in Hunter, and they kind of told us their story, how they came up and their upbringing by racing over in GPs and stuff. So, it's good to see him out here.
Yep, and you see Chad Thomas was right behind him on that 8:32, so he's going to hook up. I have to wonder, because Jett waited a long time to go out and gets going here, and Hymas is behind him. I wonder if he decided to just wait on Jett.
Who knows what that kid's planning? It's probably all planned out. I think for Jett, you know, his biggest thing is he knows he's got speed. He knows the championship's pretty much in wrap if he does whatever. So I think it'd be curious to see how he reacts. I mean, during this practice, is he kind of just, you know, saving some energy, come out that first moto, you know, hopefully wrap this thing up, or is he nervous? I mean, we're not immune to pressure, no matter how big the points lead is. It's always some kind of pressure. So I think Jett would be fine. He seems still pretty chill to me, and just doing his thing. Probably letting those guys get a gap and then try to get a pretty good time going early.
There's Hymas. Does he get to go around him? There he goes. We're going to change the racing schedule today because of the heat. We're going to add a half-hour intermission between the first and second motos. So here's your TV Moto schedule today. Moto 1, of course, starts at 1 o'clock local time. That's Pacific here in California. But Moto 2s will not begin until 3:30. But we're going to stay on the air in between with a halftime show.
Yeah, it's exciting for us. And before everybody says anything, it is hot out here. Trust me, it is hot. I know some people are like this and that, but the rider's in favor for it. It is a safety thing, and I agree with them. It is very hot, and it ain't gonna make no difference. Those guys they're gonna do what they do, and you know, actually might be for better racing. They might attack a little bit more. So it's exciting to be able to do that, and we'll have a little bit of break to really digest what's going on between first and second moto. So I think it'd be good. It'd be good for all of us.
Yeah, the motos today are going to be 25 minutes and 2 laps instead of the traditional 30 plus 2. The half-hour break between motos. Now, you race both ends of it. You race this series when they cut the break out, and then back in the day there was a pretty big break. So that half hour, I'm sure, is going to feel huge.
It's gonna be a big difference for these guys. A lot of them. I think you'll have some guys being a little bit more recovered. So I think the beginning part of the second moto, normally if it's this hot, it's 30 minutes. That second moto is going to be pretty mellow for a lot of these guys. So I think it'll give them a chance. And just having that 5 minutes makes the whole mindset. You wouldn't believe that 5 minutes makes a big old deal for these guys. So I think it's better, and especially with this heat, we'll have for better racing. I look forward to it for sure.
Yeah, you saw the weather graphic there. It's 97 right now. It's not even that bad at the moment, but it's probably going to be about 10 degrees north of that, into the hundreds. Yesterday was pretty nice till about 2 in the afternoon, which is right when 450 Moto 1 would have began, and it really got hot.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily the temperatures. Yeah, it is in the 90s, but you see how dark the soil is. I mean, they put a lot of water in this. I mean, even you got to think about the bikes overheating, you know, fuel boiling. It's a lot more than just the heat for the riders. I mean, we're all trained athletes, and we kind of deal with this every day. But when you come here, there's all the moisture in the air, having these bikes and making sure that they don't detonate, they don't blow up. So there's a lot more involved than just saying, okay, we're doing this for the safety of the riders, which is, of course, number one. But even for the teams and the mechanics, if something happens, to be able to have more time to get these things right, there's a lot that goes involved. So you got to think about fuel boiling, you know, in between motos, like having a bike being able to have a chance to cool down and not only maybe possibly change an engine. So it's the right decision. And again, like, you just look around, we're in this valley, and there's a lot of things going on. It is hot, so it might be 96, but for Eli and Chase, it's 256. You know, but it's going to be good. It's going to be great racing today.
And again, both titles still to be decided. It is a 41-point lead for Jett Lawrence. who we're watching, has been hooked up with Chance Hymas here, his young teammate, the entire lap. He has a 41-point lead, so he just needs to finish 12th in a moto. Not a lot of pressure there, but it is still up for grabs. And his brother and teammate, Hunter Lawrence, is not eliminated. He's 48 points behind, but third in the series.
Yeah, watching Jet right now, he looks a little tight. You know, his personality always makes it seem like he's super relaxed, but I could just tell, like, his flow is a little off. And I don't know if that's just he's stuck on high miss or the track situation, or is he feeling the pressure of this title. But he definitely doesn't look as fluid as he normally has. But, again, just feed off right there. But I'm sure at the end of the day he'll figure it out. I just have to say that's a little bit have to do with, you know, the title. No matter how big it is, it always in the back of your mind that it's still not done until it's done.
Send it down to Jason Thomas. JT.
You guys are talking about Jet, and, you know, he does look tight, but remember last year how tough of a day he had at Hangtown last year. Crashes, chaos, and nearly gave the title back to Justin Cooper. So I think he's trying to avoid that, and I think it also speaks to his mentality a little bit. He just wants to avoid drama today overall.
Yeah. He told us in our pre-race show last night that it wasn't nerves last week. He just picked the wrong time to have a bad race. I'm not sure if I fully subscribe to that, but that's what he said. Yeah, it was rough last year.
Again, I mean, he thinks in the future, so he just picked the wrong time. But, again, what causes all that is you thinking about the situation that what possibly could happen. Like, him riding tight is what would cause him to be in these situations that he doesn't want to. If he's a little timid off the gate, now he doesn't get a start. Now he's back in and opening up that opportunity to be with other guys that could create opportunities. So, you know, there's a fine line between, you know, being cautious and conservatively cautious and being aggressively cautious. Like I like to say, if you want to play conservative golf, be aggressive playing conservative. Like, you know, be aggressive trying to do that. But I think at the end of the day, Jet, the reason he's here is because of what he does. He's attacking, and he's, you know, for him, if I'm him, I'm not worried about, you know, what happened a few weeks ago or what happened last year, because his whole riding style is different. He's evolved. But I just see a lot of little mistakes, and I think that just puts him, there you go. I think that's just going to put him back in the pack where he's battling with Justin Cooper. He's battling with Joe and his brother, and it just leaves more opportunity for something else to go wrong.
You saw the outfit that he was rocking this morning. That was definitely not conservative. Running the full cowboy regala there. So he appears loose, at least off the track. Oh, how about this? Marvin Musquin. This is real, everybody. Marvin Musquin's back in Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, and on a 250. Has not raced this class in 2015. It did not race at all this season. Send it down to JT with his team manager.
Well, I'm with Ian Harrison, team manager for Red Bull KTM. One of the biggest surprises of the weekend, Marvin Musquin lines up on a 250, no less, to race the finale here. Obviously, it seems like a warm-up for Motocross the Nations, but can you tell us a little bit about the decision to race here and just the prep for it?
Yeah, the decision was done pretty quick, actually. He was in Europe just a few weeks ago testing, and then he decided to ride the Motocross of Nations on a 250. There's no better way of preparation than racing, so that's what we're doing today.
Well, I find it interesting that he was testing in Europe, so obviously the Team France getting a little bit of the camaraderie together, but it's going to be an interesting day for Musquin.
Yeah, so that is a bit of a wild card thrown in this 250 chase, because he is a primarily Supercross-only rider now. Didn't race any other rounds this season. And not to spoil the party, but the last time we had a title coming down to the wire was with this guy, 250 class 2015. He and Jeremy Martin were separated by 2 points coming into the finale. And Marv's bike let go in the first moto. We never had the showdown we wanted to see, and that was his last 250 race.
Yeah, well, you know, he probably wanted to have some redemption. And I think, for sure, I didn't know Marvin was coming back and racing the 250, but for him, he's always been a very, I would say, skilled rider, but when you watch Marvin, he's very light on the bike. When you watch him around the track, he tries to get light, so that could work for this 250. Like, some guys are really heavy. My brother's a heavy type of rider. Like, you can see him slamming into stuff. If he did this, you would see a power. You would notice that, look, he's on a 250. He looks like he's going slow to power. Well, I think Marvin, once he kind of figures out this track and he gets in the groove, he's a type of rider that could make this work because how he rides, and he kind of floats around the racetrack. So, you know, he looks pretty good right now.
Fourth fastest, Marv. Not bad for not having raced in a year in motocross. Hunter Lawrence on top. There's Hunter on the 96.
that just shows, you know, with Jet being second, you know, we watched him make 3 or 4 mistakes right there, and look, he's still right there. So if I'm him, I look at that and I'm like, okay, I might not be riding that good, and I made all these mistakes, but I'm still right here. So again, he should just start concentrating on doing, like, going out there and trying to win the race. Don't even worry about the 13th place or whatever. And he'll be fine. But I think, again, back on Marvin, those little things, him hopping over that stuff, that's where it's really going to help him. So I think the key for Marvin today is going to be able to get off the start. I think that's the only place that he wouldn't be able to use his talent compared to around the racetrack, is getting off the start. So if he gets off the start and he can be able to flow around, then I expect to see him in the top 5 for sure.
It's fun to have Marv in here. And again, 4th fastest, showing speed. Nate Thrasher is 3rd quickest. Thrasher has been quietly getting better as the year goes on. He's 7th in 250 points. Led some laps last week at Ironman. He's 3rd fastest again on track. Justin Cooper, 5th quickest. Shimoda, Hampshire, Boland, Mumford, Ryder DeFrancisco is top 10 qualifying right now.
Yeah, Nate rode very good last weekend, and you can see that's kind of transitioned into this. And I know these guys, they come out here and they practice. A lot of these guys ride here during the week, but this track's completely different today than it is, you know, during the week. But still, I think just being home and knowing that, or some of these guys are still home, but knowing the track that's kind of familiar and feels like home helps a lot of these younger kids out. And especially if you had a good weekend last weekend, or, you know, you're coming in here, there's a sense of calmness about them that I think you'll see more guys, at least up there in speed-wise. Now, it is 500 degrees out here, so we'll see how long that lasts, but I think it's going to help some of the rookies and some of these younger kids to come in here and feel somewhat at peace and at home, you know, be on a ride out here.
Yeah, a lot of times you get to a season finale, titles are almost sewed up as they are in this class, and it's really hot out. Not everybody loves this track, straight up. A lot of guys like the East Coast tracks better. You see guys just kind of going through the motions, but I feel like there's enough to gain with riders in both classes where you're not going to see that. 450s as well.
Yeah, there is. Like you said, normally it's, you know, in the 250 class, this class, you have Jet, you know, Hunter and Joe. Those are the only guys that's really fighting at the time. Like Jet and Hunter, those guys are fighting for second. Jet's trying to wrap this championship up. But it is, like you bring that point up, you do have Deegan here. You got Marvin trying to prove something. You got Nate trying to prove something. So although the championship for those guys is a way out of reach, I think you're right in the sense of this last race is going to feel like how it would be in the middle part of the season. With these guys are fighting for something, you know, whether that's the show of like, hey, I belong here, whether that's to end it in a good spot to have something going to Supercross. So it will be nice, and I think we should have some good racing for both classes. I even think the 450 class, you got, you know, those guys are still fighting. Maybe not as deep, but those guys are still fighting outside of Chase and Eli. So it should be for some good racing for all of us.
102, that is actually Justin Cooper, 32 on your screen, and no surprise, he's at the top of the qualifying charts. He almost always is, but he is running his Motocross of Nations number. They asked if they could do that yesterday, and AMA Pro Racing said it's cool. So 32 on the transponder feed, 102 on the bike, so he has something to gain. He's trying to tune himself up for MXDN in 3 weeks.
Yeah, he's got to represent Captain America right here. It's funny, I was down in the staging area, and I saw this 102 bike. I didn't know they were running the Motocross the Nation, and I just said, I mean, Star got another guy. Like, they got another talent coming out again.
It's true.
But now we know it's Justin Cooper, and, you know, I think for him, this might be a good thing because the last couple of races haven't went the best for him, and so having this, and maybe he takes his mind off and try to represent the USA and kind of be proud, I think that's going to help him perform today in the motos, hopefully, that he can wear that Team USA pride on his shoulder and try to go out and get a W.
See the hole shots this year, Cooper, more than 3 times the hole shots of anyone else. He won 2 motos in 2 weeks, Washougal and Unadilla, and we thought, well, here it comes. But yeah, Budds Creek, Ironman, not quite at that level. Started up front again.
Yeah, I think
I
think that's the difference when you have a guy like Justin Cooper who expects to be in the championship hunt. We saw him starting to get on the roll, and he started winning. He looked good, and it wasn't like he was lucking into it. It looked like the Justin Cooper from last year, just very smooth and just pulling away. But when things started going wrong, I think that's the difference for him mentally. It's like, well, I'm not in the title and it's not going good. I think that's why you see that big discrepancy in, like, okay, he just won by 10 seconds, 5 seconds, and then now he's like in 5th. That's because this guy's a winner. He's in here for a championship. So that's why I believe him running 102, the USA, is going to give him a sense of there's some kind of title hope. There's a pride. People will be paying attention to him. So you might get the best of Justin like he was at Washougal today. And from the times, it looks pretty good for him.
And he wants more. He was hustling on that one.
He always looks good. Like, he's always pretty smooth, so when he makes a mistake, it's noticeable. But I think Justin, to me, looks better today than he has in the last couple of races. And, you know, again, I can't help to think, but that is that 102 on his bike right now.
Yeah, it's going to be him, Sexton, and Tomac for Team USA. Sexton and Tomac did have their 3-digit numbers yesterday, 101 and 103, but they're going to go back to their traditional stuff.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if they did. We still got a little, you know, luck involved, luck of the Irish, whatever you want to call it. I figured those guys, they're in the championship, and they ain't switching numbers for no one at this point. But if you notice when you watch this track, it seems like these guys are making a lot of mistakes, and they're kind of being very cautious, like picking their way around this racetrack. And that's because, like, there's really one good line. I mean, there's a lot of ruts, but there's only one good line, and I think to get out of that, you lose so much time. So what you're watching is guys like Justin Cooper, when you see Jet and even Marvin, they're being very, like, meticulous about how they get around this racetrack, making sure they don't try to charge too much, because every time they charge, we sat here and watched them make a mistake. They run into the berm, it pops out. So I think right now it's going to be important for those guys to just kind of make sure they kind of jump their way around the racetrack. And it's not surprising that one of the most talented guys, although I say that, Jet just blasted him by over half a second. It's talented guys are up front. So again, Jet maybe figured it out. He says, I'm trying to get this thing wrapped up early, and then he gets that #1 time. It's good.
Wow, so Cooper had it all the way to the end. Now let's see if he's fast enough to take it back. I don't think so. So Jet Lawrence is going to sneak in on the last lap of qualifying to get to the top and unseat Justin Cooper. And Jet is already hanging out, ready for it. In just a moment, we will be back down there with Jason Thomas. We'll talk to Jet about the title picture and the fast lap time today. It is Lawrence, Cooper, Hampshire, Thrasher, and Hunter Lawrence, top 5 in qualifying.
The 50th anniversary season of Pro Motocross is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on motorcycle insurance. Motosport.com. Make your next ride your best ride. And by Monster Energy. Unleash the beast.
Some repairs you don't see coming. Other repairs you can plan. RockAuto.com has parts for the expected and unexpected.
All the parts your car will ever need, Rock Auto.
The roar of our engines. The pump of our heartbeats. The pedal to our metal. The sparks that ignite us. The pistons that push us. The passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us on roads that unite us. Napa has America's largest network of parts and care. Here to be the fuel that keeps you firing on all cylinders.
When performance matters most, the pros trust Crown Performance. Constructed from Teflon, Kevlar, and stainless steel, Crown Performance brake lines exceed all industry standards, will hold up against the harshest conditions, and provide ultimate stopping power, whether it's for the street or the track. We offer customized sizes and colors to fit any application. Visit crownperformance.com to learn more. crownperformance.com. crownperformance.com.
Today we're going to see who can put on their shoes the easiest. Phil with regular shoes, or Claire with Skechers new Easy Slip-ins. Go!
Done!
Skechers hands-free slip-ins go on easy and stay on. Let's check on Bill. Try new Skechers slip-ins. Halbrand's turbine wheel, engineered specifically for fitment on the square body C10 trucks. Optimized offsets and the large wheel diameter help to fill your wheel well openings nicely. Available in 19 and 20-inch versions. To find a set of Halbrand wheels for your ride, visit us at Holley.com.
Protect the Harvest was created to defend and preserve American freedoms and to support farmers, ranchers, outdoor enthusiasts, and animal owners. Protecting agriculture, protecting our rights, our traditions, our rural way of life. Protecting America. To get involved, please visit our Facebook page or protecttheharvest.com. Support us by donating today. Protect the Harvest is a nonprofit 501c3 corporation registered in Missouri.
You don't need the spark plug capable of delivering 10,000 horsepower. You probably don't need the plug that pushes a ton of steel 300 miles per hour. So you don't need the official spark plug of the NHRA. But there's a big difference between need and want. E3 Diamond Fire technology maximizes the fuel burn for more power and better fuel efficiency. E3 with Diamond Fire technology. What are you running?
Hey, we've talked a lot about the 50th anniversary of motocross from the racers side, but we're blessed with some real OGs here behind the scenes. Scott Mclemore, part of the breakthrough of motocross on television back in the 1980s and 1990s, and he's still our executive producer here at MAV TV. The great Bevo 40, the czar of motocross, former factory mechanic and goggle rep now for 100% goggles. He has been here since the beginning and is still actually our spotter on television every afternoon. And this man needs no introduction. The man, Roger DeCoster, the 5-time world champ in the 70s, and then led Honda and Suzuki, and now the KTM group to championships and wins in a management role, and still here to this day. And on the logistics side, Roy Jansen, now the event director for MX Sports Pro Racing, but he's done it all, the AMA, working for the Supercross promoters. The crew that runs Supercross and Motocross today all learned from Roy. There's a legacy of contribution to off-road riding and racing that dates back to even before the first AMA race. So great to have a lot of old hands guiding us through 50 years of Lucas Oil Pro Motocross. But we also have some new faces here. Send it down to Jason Thomas with our fast qualifier in the 250 class.
So much for cruising this weekend to clinch the championship. Jet Lawrence, you set the fastest time in that qualifying session. A little bit back and forth with Justin Cooper there, but that's off to a good start here.
Yeah, it was I was going to get a lap in, so thankfully I got that lap in. So, not feeling good. Track's definitely, it's been a flow. It took me a bit to get a flow, but should be good to racing. It's going to suck a little bit because so one going to be very hard to pass, so start's going to be very critical out there. So we'll go into this, try to get a good start as I can, just go.
Thanks, Jet. Well, that's one way to start a championship day for Jet Lawrence.
Yes, with the Monster Energy Fast Qualifying Award goes to Jet. Again, here's your television schedule here on MAV TV and also streaming MAV TV on FloRacing. 450 Moto 1. That is at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 o'clock local. And we'll have a half-hour break between motos, but we'll stay on the air with a halftime show, and then we'll be back at 6:30 Eastern for the beginning of our final motos. Yesterday, we had our Moto Scouting Combine race, the last one of the year. We had 3 of them for young riders that are just about to transition into the pros. Noah Viney dominated with 1-1 scores. Noah's down to the racetrack right now. Let's send it back to JT.
Noah Viney, you have the unique experience of both racing the Pro National here back in May and also winning the Scouting Combine. You're out front of that National too. Just talk us a little bit about the win yesterday and track conditions and how they were compared to that National in May.
I actually like the track a lot better for the Combine. I think the layout was a lot better in the prep. First qualifying was a little weird because there's not as much people here to work on the track, so it was like one line, everyone was going outside. And then for the racing, it was good because the amateurs worked in some of the insides and there's some more lines to hit. And then that was it.
Well, Chance Hymas last week, Noah Viney this week. These guys are the future of Lucas Oil Pro Motocross.
Yeah, that's a unique situation because he did race that pro race. You can race up to 3 times if you score under 40 points and remain eligible as an amateur. So Viney went back to amateurs today. We continue to talk about the greats of the sport, and this guy I think is the most underrated ever. Jean-Michel Bell, one of the most skilled riders the AMA has ever seen. While his career in America only lasted 4 years, he completely changed the sport on and off the track, paving the way for today's foreign-born champions.
Born in France in 1969, Jean-Michel Bell would first hop on a motorcycle at age 6. 16 years later, he would completely change the way the world viewed motocross racing. After earning success in the French National Series, JMB captured his first world championship in 1988. But unlike his European peers, Bell had his sights set on conquering America, something Europeans had not done since the early days of the sport here in the 1970s. He spent the winter of 1989 in the U.S. and shocked the establishment by winning the first AMA National he entered on a 250 in Gainesville, Florida. At the end of the year, he would win a 500 National at Unadilla. In between, Bell returned to Europe and captured his second consecutive world title, this time in the 250 class. By 1990, the Frenchman was racing in America full-time, and by 1991, he was the dominant rider stateside. In his historic 1991 season, Bell would become the first and only rider to ever score 3 AMA National titles in the same season: the 250 Supercross title, the 250 Motocross Championship, and the 500 National Motocross Championship. It was a clean sweep of the sport, and Bell had proven riders outside of America could win in America. And then, just like that, he was done. Bell would race one more season in the dirt, but his career goals were now focused on road racing. His natural talent on 2 wheels propelled him to a competitive career on pavement, earning top 10 finishes and pole positions against the world's best road racers. But he left his mark in motocross. Because his time on the top of the sport was so short, Bell never generated the numbers associated with greatness. But those who raced against him marveled at his talent, skill, and smarts. And the industry soon learned to scout and respect talent from outside of American borders. And those that conquered America after him owe the great JMB a debt of gratitude. Jean-Michel Bell was inducted into the AMA Hall of Fame in 2000.
A lot of history to talk about here today, not just the great JMB, but it's going to be the final pro motocross race for this man. Dean Wilson, one of the likable riders and a former champion in the series. So we bid him adieu. We got clips here of his first ever national win. It's a 250 class back in the day at Putts Creek when they were young, James.
Yeah, Dean, he's one of the most talented guys I've seen. I mean, he does some great stuff on a motorcycle, and we're losing another great. You know, Dean, I know he wanted some more wins, some injuries and stuff played him, but the kid knew how to ride a motorcycle, and I'm definitely going to miss watching him ride.
Yep. All right, there's Dean, who ended up the 250 national champion in 2011. Look how young these guys are up in the box. Here's Dean Wilson today. JT was able to catch up with him in the pits.
Dean Wilson, your last Lucas Oil Pro Motocross race. This track's been really successful for you. You were undefeated here at one point. Come off of a 2011 Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship. Can you tell us a little bit about the emotions you're feeling? I know the track's tough today, but this is still a huge day for you.
Yeah, for sure. Last ever outdoor motocross race, so yeah, it's been a great run for me. We're here at Pala. Got my first ever 1-1 here, clean sweep back in 2010. The next year, did another clean sweep. So we're still undefeated in the 250 class. We're tied with Jet. Jet tied up. So hopefully Jet don't go 1-1 today, and we can be tied. But no, it's I'm happy with my decision. I just can't ride at my full potential anymore with how bad my knee is, and I just can't do it. So I'm very grateful for the career I've had. It's a lot of ups and downs, but I'm happy. I've done my best, and that's all I can do. Got a great team behind me, and we're just gonna enjoy today, doing my best. A couple top 10s, I'll be happy with that. And yeah, then I'll be standing next year.
Thanks, Dean. Well, a great champion wrapping up a Lucas Oil Pro Motocross career today at Pala.
I like the round of applause from the team there. Yeah, Dean's been through it with the injury, so that's what slowed him.
Yeah, you can tell Dean, like you can hear it in his voice. He's missing it, and like I said, some injuries and stuff played him, but you can tell he still loves the sport, and he feels like he's making the best decision, and as long as he feels that way, it is the right decision no matter what it is, and I'm sure we're going to see Dean around at the races no matter what, so he'll be missed.
Yeah, I think some Supercross plans there, just the rough and tumble outdoors have gotten to him, but not these guys. They are at peak form. So here's the obvious poll question. Go to @ProMotocross, the Instagram story, to vote. Who will be your 450 champion at the end of today? Eli Tomac or Chase Sexton? Go to @ProMotocross. Instagram story has the poll up, and that is probably going to be as close to a darn 50-50 as you're going to get, because it is splitting hairs between these two. And here's why. So many different ways you can slice their dominance this year. 20 out of 22 Moto wins. They've led at least one lap between the two of them in every Moto this season. 74% of the total laps led this year. And the craziest part is the fact that they swapped the points lead 3 of the last 5 rounds. Unreal.
Yeah, it's closer than comfort for either one of them. Yeah, I'm going to leave it up to the fans. I mean, whatever you pick, who you got. I think both of these guys right now, they're feeling something they probably never felt ever before. I mean, luckily for them, they have to go out and beat each other. So there's no scenario where you're like, well, maybe for Eli, the second Moto, but if he wins the first one. But even with that, it's such a I think if he relaxes to be able to get third, fourth place, it could come into play real quickly if he doesn't go out and try to win. And that goes for Chase also. So for them, they just got to go out and race. But the feeling that they have, you guys wouldn't even imagine that. Just the mental battle that they're fighting. Like everything feels off. The bike probably feels tight. They can't feel their toes. And, you know, we're really watching athletes at their best on a motorcycle deal with adversity just mentally and be able to, like, still somewhat recover and go out there and race. So today's going to be one about the guy who stays more like themselves, because no athlete gets better under pressure. It's just whether how long you stay closer to yourself and compared to the other guy. And I think that's what we're going to watch today. It's going to be a mental battle. And then and luckily for them, I think the heat's going to help that. It takes a little bit of pressure off of them in the sense of there's another element where they just don't have to worry about it. 70 degrees, the track's awesome, bike looks awesome, and it really just comes down to you guys. There's some other scenarios like, you know, bikes overheating, you know, with Eli and how hard he is on the clutch. There's going to be some other things that come into this this title that's going to play a factor into this. So, but it's going to be up to them. Get off the start and let this thing go. But you can tell there's a little hostility right now going into this, and it's only going to build up.
Well, to make it even weirder, they're both going to be on Team USA for Motocross of Nations, and traditionally they do a little dress rehearsal with the graphics and the gear at the final round. So yesterday, Sexton and Tomac had to hang out together up on the top of the hill in the VIP area. They did a photo shoot, did some interviews with the media, and Eli did admit to us last night, although they've been super cordial with each other all year, it got a little weird. He did admit it got a little weird having to hang out elbow to elbow the day before a one-point championship showdown.
Yeah, I mean, it had to be. I mean, I think for the USA and, like, doing that, they're both old enough and they know how important it is to us to go over there and win the Motocross of the Nation. So that part's going to be cordial, and even how awkward that probably was, it probably wasn't that bad because they know why they were there. But I just think you can sense there's hostility. It has to be. It's like a guy coming in and trying to take your job, and you got to sit there and eat lunch with him, take photos with him, knowing that, okay, if this guy does better on this report than me, he's going to take my job. And that's what they're going through right now. So that photo shoot with somebody taking the job, and that's where they are today to do it. So the good thing for them is that they got to go race. They got to go race, and put up, shut up, doesn't matter. They still got to go beat each other and get it done.
All right, here are their thoughts on being part of Team USA.
So after here, we get ready to go represent the USA back at Redbud. Myself, Chase, Justin, Cooper. Yeah, we're ready for it. You know, we're strong as ever. Still have to go out there and do it, but it's exciting that it's back here in the U.S. again, and hopefully we have a better showing than 18.
It's been a dream of mine to be a rider for Team USA, especially with it being at Redbud this year. It's 2 hours from where I used to live, and it's going to be cool going back there, and not for the national, but for the world coming together. So I'm excited for that, and yeah, I went there and watched it in 2018, and it was raining, and there was still a whole bunch of people there. So hopefully this year, bigger turnout, and we have a really good team. So I'm excited for that, and I think we have a good shot at winning.
Sexton, by the way, has the fastest overall qualifying time. He was 3 seconds quicker in this session than he was earlier in the day. But what are you seeing now that we've got a shot of both of them on camera here, James?
Well, Eli almost just looped out right back there. Yamaha got a lot of power on there. You know, they're both a little off. I mean, Chase and they're still, no matter how far they're off, they're still the clear 2 favorites, and they're the best ones out there. They're still racing at a different level, being in this title. So I just see a lot of little mistakes from a lot of them. And I think, you know, watching more, the track is a lot tougher than expected. I mean, it looks a lot tougher than it did from the first Paula, and even quite different than it was at the first round. So they're making mistakes, and I think that's a lot to do with the track. But as you heard with Jet, he said it's one-lined, and that's kind of what it looks like to me. So I think a lot of this is going to be, especially with it being one-lined, that means it's going to get rough in that main line. And if you really can't go outside, you're going to see these mistakes on there. So again, it's practice. It is hot, so even though they're going out there trying to do a lap time, they're trying to conserve their energy somewhat. But this is, don't make no mistake, this is this could be the first punch shot of the day, coming out here and getting this qualifying. Like, you know, if Chase gets this is a big shot in his armor, like going there. And if Eli doesn't, you know, he's going to be thinking about it. So it's going to come down to the start, most likely. But I think you're going to see this track break down quite a bit because these guys are in the same line right now.
Send it back down to JT.
Big day, a lot of pressure. Is it just business as usual? Do anything different, or just that everything goes to plan?
Really business. Well, I mean, we're going to take it just like we do every race and go for the win.
Well, short but sweet. Guys, the real down here.
Zimmerman has been through this before with Adam Cianciullo back in his Kawasaki days, now working with Sexton. Yeah, that's a whole other factor, right? The pressures on the riders, we talk about that, but the mechanics, you don't want to be responsible. And look, there are so many technicians on the bikes these days. A lot of time when there's a bike problem, it's not the actual mechanic who made the error. Somebody else builds the motors, somebody else puts the suspension together, things like that. But they've got to be feeling some pressure regardless.
Oh, yeah, the whole team's feeling pressure. And again, this heat, it brings out a lot. It's really hard on the bike. And this track is deep, so it puts a lot of stress on the bike. And the heat, fuel boiling, you know, it makes the engine hot. So you got to believe those guys, they definitely don't want to be the issue. And even if something happened, it's not like the mechanic left the seat off like my dad did one time. You know, it's not that kind of mechanical. But at the end of the day, I think you hear a lot when you listen to Eli talk, and even with Chase, you hear a lot of we. And that just shows you how much, like, everybody counts on each other. I know it comes up to the rider. It's ultimately up to him to go out there and do it. But the rider counts on his mechanic to give him the right information. The mechanic counts on the engine guy to give him the right parts. Like, it's really a team effort. And so that's what makes this so special and so rewarding for everyone involved, because it really is we out here. So it's going to be satisfying for either one of these guys to win out there. And boom, there's Beast Mode come out.
Whoa.
4-3 right there. And shots fired.
Sexton at the top time. Tomac just took it back. Tomac, by the way, was almost a second and a half clear of Sexton in the first qualifying session. And now Sexton's going into the mechanics area.
Yeah, that's it for Chase. Like, this lap time, he won't get another one. So this is his thought. This is what he's going to have to lead to going into the first moto with Eli doing this. And again, I think if I'm in Eli's corner, and just for us fans, I think it's better to see Eli on top right now, because I still think Chase, this is one of his favorite tracks. And Eli from last weekend, you know, coming out in the first motor doing what he's doing, I think him feeling like he can have a chance to win allows him to be at the best of his best. So, you know, just from our point of view, I think Chase being second is not going to make that much difference to him. Like, whatever's going to happen during the race is going to happen. But I do believe Eli being first is going to help Eli go out and give a better performance and feel better about the situation, only because of the track situation and where we're at. And looking at this track, how deep it is, if you notice, it's deep and it's really hard on the bottom. So I think that's why these guys are making a lot of mistakes. Like, they're digging in, and all of a sudden you see the bike just kind of sliding around. So I think that's part, they can only dig the track so deep, and then it gets to that hard bottom. So it's going to change all day long.
Yeah, Sexton, so much buzz about the dominance and 1-1 the last time we were here at round 1. And Tomac, that was not the same Eli Tomac at round 1 we've seen the rest of the year, where he went 7-4 in the 2 motos and then fixed a motorcycle and then ended up winning a moto the next weekend at Hangtown. So for Eli, I think he just wants to write that opener off and don't read too much into it. He did win the second Fox Raceway round last year that we had on the calendar. He's won twice at this track, so he's capable.
Yeah, and I really do believe Eli believes that. You know, his bike was off at the first race. He admitted it. It looked like that. So, you know, I'm not really too concerned about the way he looks on the racetrack and his past history here, more than like it's whatever he believes. Like if he believes like, hey, you know what, I'm pretty good at this track, that's all that really matters. So I think we're really the ones that play into, hey, Chase is really good and he struggled. Because it is the truth. Like when you look at it, Chase did get his first overall win on the 450 here. He came back next year. He won a moto here, and then he won earlier this year. So Eli has won here against Chase before, but I would say from the last time they were here, and considering how Chase has been all year, you would think that it favors Chase. But maybe Eli has a little different plan about that today, and it's good to see him out there.
But it looks like it's going to be Eli Tomac as the fast qualifier. So many stories to follow today, but obviously it all centers on this amazing championship fight. And Tomac fires first. Going to be your Monster Energy fast qualifier. Let's check in with Ryan Dungey, who, well, when we were here last time, it was the first race in 5 years for Ryan Dungey. But I'm not sure if this is going to end up being the last for Dungey. Some talk that he might be back racing again in 2023. Still searching for that elusive podium. But we do know it won't be the last time he'll be at this racetrack no matter what, because his foundation is going to have a charity ride at this track next week. Here's a little more from Ryan on that.
So next weekend we have our second annual event, Opportunity Waits Ride Day. Last year, that was our first event to kick off the Ryan Dungey Foundation, and it went great. We had a great turnout, a lot of riders showed up, and just a fun day of riding all the tracks here at Fox Raceway. It's a great facility. It accommodates everybody, and we raised a lot of good money. So next weekend, really excited to have the second time back here and hopefully have a great time again. To get signed up for the event, you can go to the RyanDungeyFoundation.org. All the money benefits our beneficiaries. That's St. Jude and All Kids Bike. Great organizations. And the mission is really to create opportunities for kids, give these younger kids an opportunity to experience their best potential, whether it's getting on a dirt bike or helping kids through St. Jude, giving them a second chance at life.
That is awesome. Ryan Dungey, a legend in the sport, 3-time champion of this class and a 1-time 250 champ, 4 Supercross titles. But he's been stuck on that 69 overall podiums. He's been so close all year to getting number 70. I talked to him this morning. He's still digging. Today could be the day.
Yeah, Ryan's always going to continue digging. And that's so cool about his foundation. And for the people out there that don't know Ryan, what you saw, that's Ryan. That's how he really is. I mean, he really does care about, his charities and giving back to the sports. That's why I've always had the most respect for him, and I'm kind of wishing for him secretly to get that podium, but that is Ryan. So it is nice to see some of these athletes out here that what you see on camera is where they are. And, I think he has a chance today. It is hot. This is Ryan Dungey, and he can do it, obviously.
You don't have to be secret. I think a lot of people are pulling for Dungey to at least get one podium this year. He's been so close. So we'll see how it turns out for the number 5 and the rest of the field today. But Eli Tomac's at the center of the storm, and he is your Monster Energy fast lap qualifier. Let's send it down to Jason.
Well, days don't get much bigger than this, Eli Tomac, and if you're looking to get it going the direction you wanted, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, the track got faster there between 1 and 2. It was just a little bit muddy in the first one, so happy I was able to throw down another fast one in P2 there. And it's a technical track today. It's a lot different than Pala 1, much deeper to start off on the day, so it's a different surface, but feeling good right now.
Thanks, Eli. Fastest qualifier, Eli Tomac, looking for that 4th Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship.
And here's how you can watch it. Television coverage on MAV TV. You can also stream it, MAV TV on FloRacing. 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock local time. That'll be our first 250 Moto, 450 Moto 1, the showdown at 5 p.m. Eastern.
The 50th anniversary season of Pro Motocross is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. With a nationwide network of parts and care, Napa helps you get up and go. Honda, celebrating 50 years of off-road dominance. And by Lucas Oil. Keep that engine alive.
It has been so much fun celebrating 50 years of Pro Motocross and broadcasting alongside some of the great legends. They're eyewitnesses to the history of pro motocross in America and what makes this sport so special.
When I was younger, I'd say my favorite part about competing and being a pro was just winning. And I still love to win, but I think as I get older now, I think the biggest thing that I enjoy the most is the chance to line up, to feel the nerves. The challenge is what I enjoy the most.
I find it better today when I don't have that nerves from racing, and I love talking to all the fans, and we all have the common denominator that we love motocross and love motorcycles.
I was from where these people were from. I mean, I grew up in the country. I mean, I love motocross. I love watching it as much as they love watching me.
The most macho thing and there is in sport today is the start. 40 guys line up and try to get to one place at the same time. And the fans love and respect that. They'll put up with the dust and the mud and the rain. It doesn't matter. Motocross fans are the best.
Well, there is no greater fans than the motorcycle, motocross, supercross. I mean, the fans in motocross are nuts.
They're just extremely loyal. As I remember back on my career, I'm just so thankful that they enjoyed the ride just as much as I did.
The fence line just lined with people, you know, and first, second, or third, you're on the podium, but to see that and to feel that, the energy, you know, those are what I miss.
I raced because, you know, to get the excitement for people, the people cheering, that's kind of what motivated me to keep going. And so now, to be able to be here and to be able to be a part of it and still have the fans, but have a different role in this sport, it's pretty special.
I think as a fan and as an ex-racer, really the last 2 years, I don't think I've, especially this year in Supercross and Motocross, like our racing has been, you know, some of the best racing that we've had in a long time, if not ever.
These guys are good. They're good, and I'm impressed by all of them.
The future is bright for pro motocross, and I'm just glad to be a part of it, and I'd love to see it keep growing so these guys get the respect that they deserve for the risk that they take.
And someone's respect level is going to ratchet up that much higher with an all-time showdown between Eli Tomac and Chase Sexton coming your way at 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 o'clock Eastern. That's when coverage starts on MAV TV. For James Stewart and Jason Thomas, I'm Jason Wygant. We'll see you this afternoon.
No matter where you are or what you drive, Rock Auto has all the parts your car will ever need.
When performance matters most, the pros trust Crown Performance. Constructed from Teflon, Kevlar, and stainless steel, Crown Performance brake lines exceed all industry standards, will hold up against the harshest conditions, and provide ultimate stopping power, whether it's for the street or the track. We offer customized sizes and colors to fit any application. Visit crownperformance.com to learn more. crownperformance.com. crownperformance.com.
Racing is not a one-person sport. It's a team effort made up of friends, family, and Summit Racing equipment.